What's up, guys? Just got my new stunt soundboard installed in my Arbiter, and I wanted to kind of give you guys a run through and my initial thoughts on it. It's from a company called 7 Chambers. They have a website. They also have a Facebook. It's kind of hard to find though. You have to do 7 and then a dash and then Chambers. And then if you search for CoreFX, so just like that, that's the name of the board. It's a newer version of one they used to have called the Blade FX. And I think they're very similar. I believe the only difference is that this one utilizes a single switch rather than a dual switch. And it also, it looks like the clash sensor on the old version, if you imagine that this is the board, the sensor would stick up, and now it's kind of folded over and integrated into the board. As far as mounting options, before I run through the features, it's roughly, actually I've got one right here. I don't have a Nano Biscotti because I just installed it, but they're about the same size. So I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that if you have a chassis for a Nano Biscotti, this most likely will work. The only thing to be cautious of is that clash sensor sticks up pretty high. I built a kind of a PVC chassis. Yes, this looks very shitty, I realize that. So that I could run an 18650 inside it. And the plan was to essentially slide this in here, and with the battery in place, the sensor actually stuck up too high. So I was thinking I would take something like this and mount that, but it also stuck up too high. So what I ended up doing is taking a piece of polycarbonate tubing that's for fluorescent lights. I think it's 1 1/4, give or take. And I ended up, I cut it to length, and then I cut a slit down the center, and I kind of, I just took a battery pack, not in a holder, so just like the battery with the leads, and then I essentially put the board on top, and then when I put that over the top, it held it pretty flush. There's no rattle, and actually, I'll show you guys. This is gonna be very dependent on the hilt, because something like the Acolyte with a long pommel that sticks in there, you can actually kind of see how it sticks out, and this actually goes around it. So it's flush up against that so that it's, there's no movement there. And so this hilt design works really well for it, this outside pommel. So, I mean, there's no rattle there. So anyway, on to the actual board, which is what most people care about. It's, like I said, it's a stunt board. So essentially what it's gonna do is it's gonna give you most of the features that you're gonna find on like a Plector Labs board, something like that, but without the sound. The cool thing is these are from the UK, so depending on where you are, I'm in the US. It was about 22 bucks, I think, shipped for one. I ended up getting 2 just to save on shipping, and because I thought once I do it, there's kind of no reason to go back. And I think it's worth it for a few reasons, and I'm gonna try and make it quick because I know that you really just want to see the actual effects on the saber. It uses a momentary switch versus a latching switch with, a normal stunt saber, and you're most likely going to be running, a 3.7 lithium-ion battery, so you're going to be running your recharge port. So if you go with one of these boards, especially if you go with a Nano Biscotti chassis or whatever chassis, and you're running it and you decide that you want sound later on, it's going to be a really easy upgrade. Now, on a side note, the way that this board runs, for you guys that have seen my video on the Hasbro soundboards, this is so similar to the Hasbro board as far as wiring and how it works. What I really, really enjoy about this, as far as wiring it, is instead of you having to run like on a Nano Biscotti or a Plector Labs board where you have to run one wire from your switch and then one wire from your switch to your recharge port and run this weird loop of circuitry. The switch just runs to the board. You've got two wires from your switch that run to the board, and that's it. So you could even do a quick detach if you for some reason had room in your saber to do that or whatever. Just makes it really easy, and that's how the Hasbro board is as well. It's just the switch is its own circuit on the board. So as far as wiring, this thing's awesome. It's got, I don't know if the camera's gonna pick it up there. It's got, let's see if I can get some point with. So you've got your LED negative, your flash on clash, which is marked CF negative. Your 2 switch, it's marked SW for switch and then ground, just if you need a ground point because you may be running extra lights. It has a negative and a positive accent light, and then battery positive and negative in. And I believe that on the site they say this can run like 4 accent lights. So I believe that's kind of what the ground is for. Is that you would run, because the positive, the way this is set up, you run the positive straight to the battery, and everything on the board is run as a ground. So as far as an accent LED, it would be the same. You would just run the ground to here. And I'm assuming, I don't quote me on this, I probably should have researched it. I believe that if you run to this ground versus the LED ground, all that means is it's going to be a permanently on accent. But maybe that's what the accent is here. I don't know. I believe there's one way to set it up to where whatever accent LED will flicker with the blade, and one that will be just kind of a stationary light. So anyway, on to the features, the part that you've been waiting 7 minutes for. Pop the kill key out. Obviously there's no sound. It kind of freaked me out at first because I'm so used to hearing that boot sound. So I'm gonna flick it on there, and you're gonna have to almost look at the table, not the actual blade, because as everybody knows, cameras do not like to pick up anything for sabers, but it looks like you can see it a little bit. So it's got a really nice flicker. I think it's almost a little more aggressive than a stock Nano Biscotti flicker, and I really like it. I know the guy that made these boards said, I believe that he had looked at the movies and Clone Wars and a lot of the considered canon Star Wars film, and tried to replicate that as well as possible, and I think he did a really awesome job. I'm very okay with this. It's not too aggressively fast, but it's not so slow that it's not noticeable. I feel like on the Nano Biscotti, you almost want to turn it up a little bit. So you turn it on. To turn it off, I believe it's 1.3 or 1.5 seconds. You hold it down, and it does the nice fade on and fade off like you would find on a Plector Labs board, which sounds stupid, but you really notice it. It's something that's so subtle, but it really, to me, gives a lot of life to the saber, that just fade on and off. So that alone is awesome. Like I said, it's a momentary switch too, which is awesome. It just feels better than latching to me. Latching is really easy to hit when you're playing with the saber. This, not so much, and especially with this delay, it's just not going to happen. Now, like I said, this has a flash on clash. I have a wire for it, but I don't actually have my LEDs yet that I ordered to run a flash on clash. But it has that capability. So something else that is, you would normally have to spend $80 or whatever on a Nano Biscotti to get that feature. This, you can get it for $20. So, this compared to like a Hasbro board, yes, it has no sound, but it's a much higher quality board. It has a contact shimmer. Like I said, you can see that more on the table than you can on the actual blade, which I like a lot. That with the flash on clash, I think is going to look really cool. Even if you don't have flash on clash, if you're going for just a really budget build, to me, it just looks nice. And also, unlike the Hasbro board, it doesn't do the flash on open and close, it just does the fade. So to me, that's really awesome. And now what's kind of one of the coolest things about it for the price point, so like I said earlier, they used to run 2 switches, and so you had one for on-off and one that was an auxiliary switch. So if you press it, it goes into like lockup, I think is what most people refer to that as. So, you know, you hit contact, hit the lockup, which is cool. I guess I can't really think of any practical sense to do it other than maybe like fan film, something like that, where for editing purposes it would be nice, or just playing around. For practical dueling, I don't know, you know, you're probably not going to find the time to do that. And like I said, I believe with the flash on clash, that will give you that flash on clash with that flicker. So I believe it's the same essentially as the blade clash, it's just locking it up. So I think that's super cool. The fact that it even has that, and I know this company, Seven Chambers, has a few other boards that they're working on. If they could implement something like that on a soundboard, you know, for blaster sounds or something like that at a budget price, you know, for boards, that would be really cool. That could be a really big thing for do-it-yourself saber builders, because currently to get some of those features, you've got to spend a lot of money. And for me, at least, I think the blaster sound is kind of a cool feature. And I don't understand why there's no reason to have that, you know, easy auxiliary function, and then, you know, you hold it to turn it off. So I think that's really cool. This thing has got a lot of features for the money. Like I said, if you're going to spend $20 anyway on a Hasbro board and rip it apart for the guts, I would recommend just trying one of these out. Yes, sound is awesome. Hasbro sound really isn't that awesome. It's cool, but if you're using a Hasbro soundboard and you're dueling, or you even experience a non-Hasbro saber, you're gonna want more. Like, I guarantee that that's just never gonna be enough. But if you have something like I said, I picked this up as just a cheap, you know, kind of a, I don't want to say beater saber, but you know, this isn't the prized gem of my collection of sabers. This is just something for me to, you know, really, I don't know, play with, I guess. But this board is perfect, because I still, like I said, between the hilt and the board and the electronics, not counting the blade, maybe $100 into it, maybe, if that. So you really cannot beat that at all. So I would really highly recommend checking these guys out. Like I said, it's 7 Chambers, and the board is called the CoreFX. They're on Facebook, and they have YouTube videos, but it's not under 7 Chambers. I will do my best to find their company videos and post a link that's just their demonstration that's a lot better than mine. But I know that on their website they've got a few other boards, and I think a color controller for, you know, switching LED colors and a few other things. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing what these guys do in the future. Like I always say, options are always good. Currently the Nano Biscotti is kind of the king of the budget soundboard. It would be cool to have something else to choose from, so everybody's not running the exact same thing, and people can kind of just go with a different setup. So yeah, there it is. Hopefully this gives you guys some insight into this board, and it is something you should definitely check out. So thank you for watching. Thumbs up, thumbs down, and subscribe if you like seeing saber videos. I have a Bane that I just finished, and so I'm hoping to do a review on that some point this week. Plus kind of a few other things in the works. So subscribe if you would like to see those. Thanks for watching.